Section 3: Cultural Norms. Pragmatics is the study of language in contexts including verbal and nonverbal communication. Communication norms. A greeting is always expected when speaking to a French person. It is seen as disrespectful when a greeting is not said. It is important to remember to always greet an ELL French student so that they feel comfortable and cared for in the classroom environment. Since the French take it as very disrespectful when they are not greeted. Amongst friends, it is common to see the "la baisse" greeting, and that is a kiss on both sides of the cheek. That can be something that is very confusing for new French ELL students since Americans do not do that, and that is something that they will have to learn as they come into this country, and it's something that we will need to teach them. Out of respect, people are referred to as Madame, Monsieur, Mademoiselle, which is just like our Miss, Mr., and Mrs. The French culture values quality over convenience, and they do not get frustrated over things taking a long time.
Communication norms and implications with them. The French tend to be very direct people. This means that they rely on explicit verbal communication. They may not pick up on something like body language or tone of voice from other people. This is an aspect of a low-context culture. Even though the USA is characterized as a low-context culture, we still do use a lot of nonverbal cues in the classroom. An example of how we use nonverbal cues is when a teacher wants the class to be quiet, they will often stand in front of the class with their arms crossed and a stern look on their face. American students may look and understand it is time for them to be quiet. A new French student may ask why the teacher is standing like that. It is important to step back and realize that this is not the student mouthing off or being rude. In their culture, they may not be used to something like this. It would be beneficial to explain to the student what is going on so they know how to act in the future.
Physical contact is okay during conversations and can happen very often in the French culture. This is considered to be a sign of affection. Americans tend to like their personal bubble. If someone touches us too often or is too close when they are speaking, we tend to get uncomfortable and back off. A new French student may not understand what the proper interaction norms are with their peers. A way that French ELL students can learn the norms of American society is having students participate in group work, as their peers can help guide them to help them figure out what is acceptable in the classroom. A common group work strategy is think, pair, share. This is when the students will think about what is being said or asked, and they will work with a partner, and then they will share their ideas out together with the class.
It's important to understand gestures. The gesture of putting your index finger and thumb together lets people know that they are doing okay in America. However, in France, that same gesture means you are worthless or zero. This is a perfect example as to why it is important to be aware of the cultures in your classroom. I frequently use this gesture to let a student know they are doing great work or are displaying great behavior in the class. If I am to one day have a French ELL student, I would have to realize to not do this gesture to them because they may take this as me calling them worthless.
Culture is a study of a group of people's norms and traditions. Appropriate behavior in the French culture. Eye contact when a person is speaking is very important in their culture. This is also another aspect of American culture. As stated before, physical contact is okay during conversation, and that happens frequently. It is not okay to sit with your legs open. They sit straight up or with their legs crossed in France. It is not okay to yawn, chew gum, or scratch in public. Leaving food on a plate is also impolite in France. This is not an aspect of American culture. It's actually considered to be disrespectful if you leave a plate full.
French society. Power distance refers to positions in society. People are expected to respect superiors. Individualism refers to how a society relies on one another. An individualistic society, which is what France is, means that people focus more on themselves to contribute to society. Collectivist cultures care more about working together for society. Individualistic societies create more independent people. France is the only country that the upper class scores feminine and the lower class scores masculine. A masculine culture is driven by competition and success, while a feminine culture is more concerned with the quality of life. When comparing French society to the United States society, the American premise of liberty and justice for all is evidence that the United States has an explicit emphasis on equal rights in all aspects of American society and government. However, like France, America is a very individualistic society. The United States is a very masculine culture, unlike the femininity of French. A French student may not be used to competition and being held accountable for every action they have and being compared to others.
Scoring high under the uncertainty avoidance category means that in French society, there is structure and planning. They follow the rules mostly. French people tend to not be spontaneous and are punctual. France can be categorized as a long-term orientation society, which means they are focused on the future. They are able to adapt their society to the changing times. Scoring a 48 in the indulgence category means that the French are not as relaxed as other countries and tend to enjoy life less often than others. Americans tend to be more tolerant of ideas or opinions from anyone and allow the freedom of expression, whereas French culture is more structured with rules. An example of this would be any court case that has to do with us questioning society. This does not tend to happen in France. America has a low score for long-term orientation. We have a hard time letting go of past experiences and ideologies. On the indulgence score, Americans live their life to the fullest, and for the most part, they reward their hard work, unlike France, who do not tend to live in the moment.